I have some plants for aftermath layout. These are bulrushes, N gauge, but of course O gauge ones, double O gauge, are just a different size. These could be ones that are just growing, so I'm going to add some of those onto the river here. I think they're more in keeping with the size of the layout. I've also got some sunflowers. I've got quite a lot of these. I'm just going to use one of them, put it somewhere in the middle of the layout so it's a little bit of life in amongst all this devastation that's just growing through. There they are, placed in clumps. So here are my WW1 British Infantry. They're coming on quite nicely. I'm painting them all in various colours and details, and then I'm weathering them with a black wash. And this picks up lots of detail in the modelling, in the crafting that Airfix have done. Unfortunately, they've made these things with bendy plastic. It's really hard to cut the flash off. I'd prefer the harder plastic. This, for example, is an Emhar kit, and it's much better plastic. It's easier to cut the flash off around the figures, and the figures are actually made much better with less flash anyway, so they've downgraded Airfix for some reason. It's not quite as good as some of the other Airfix kits, which is a shame because Airfix is my favourite plastic model brand, I think. Really do like them. Here is a Emhar German artillery kit from World War One. Now, the nice thing about this is it's nice, rigid plastic. This is the sort of plastic we like, and not much flash. Now, I'm not really using the soldiers. What I'm going to produce is the artillery, the gun. Now, I was going to have this smashed up on the layout. Instead, I've smashed up the British one, and I'm keeping this German one intact as a gun. The reason is that this is a much better made kit, and that's the only reason. Otherwise I'd have smashed the German one up. So this is going to be left on the layout, abandoned, because the British will be owning that area of land. I've also started spray painting these. I still need to add more details, dry brush some details, and also need to put some rubble and stuff inside to cover over the steam that's coming out. But they've got their main colours there now. So these are the two ruins, and I've found I can reduce the amount of water vapour coming out by careful positioning of the donut diffusers underneath the layout. I've also put some rubble, which I haven't painted yet, in each building, and what happens is the water vapour condenses on that rubble and drips back into the water tank. So every now and again the diffusers will stop functioning because they've got a drop of water on them. See that one? It then pumps out again. Then you get a puff of smoke, and it's reducing the flow through. A lot of that water vapour is condensing and dripping back into the tank. So this will make the water last longer. There's less water vapour coming out, and this gives the sort of effect I want. So purely by putting more or less rubble over the apertures, I've managed to restrict the flow. One thing it's worth pointing out here is that I've got water vapour, steam, potentially condensing around here. Now there are electrical circuits nearby, the track is electrified, so some of this water is going to condense out, and I'm testing it now to make sure that my track doesn't get soaked. I don't want electrical short circuits or any sort of problems, so be very careful and thoroughly test if you're going to use these sort of water vapour smoke generators, because the water will condense somewhere. Now a lot of this water vapour is condensing back into the tray it's dripping out of, and so all I'm getting is little puffs of steam, and it's evaporating pretty quickly in the local area. So this should be alright. Already it's been on 25 minutes and I've got no wetness building up around the layout. No, it's pretty much all going to be inside the resin buildings, any water vapour, any moisture. So yeah, here is perfectly dry. So that is what I'm looking out for. I don't want the track getting wet. So thoroughly test if you do anything like this. Make sure it is performing how you want it to. What I've got is some Deweyler debris, and this is to scour rubble. I've then put it in the lid of a box and sprayed it grey because it was mainly brick red. And now I've put some PVA glue down and I'm sprinkling the rubble onto it, and then I'll go over that with the water and PVA mix again just to secure it down. Now I'm dropping it on there to make it as natural as possible in the way that the rubble might have fallen off the buildings. So there we are, lots more rubble added now inside and around. Now the white stuff is the glue drying, so that should dry clear.